Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to season number 9. This is the 9th book of the New Testament that we've been walking through 7 minutes a day. This is written as a little bit of a blog, but really the meat of it is a podcast. So welcome to episode 1 of season 9. We're in the book of 2 Thessalonians. We're actually not in it yet. We're just starting it today. This is the introduction to the book of 2 Thessalonians. It's a book that Paul, Silas, and Timothy, a trio of guys, wrote when they were on the second missionary journey. And they were as far away from home as they were ever going to get. They were writing from Corinth, and they were writing back up the Macedonian or the Greek peninsula up to a church in a city called Thessalonica. Now, they had all been there. Paul got chased out by some violence in the town, and they put Paul on a boat and said, get to Athens, and he did, and later he's gone to Corinth. And the second missionary journey wasn't just a wandering. They actually spent 18 months in one place, that is in Corinth, and that's where the second book, and the first book for that matter, was written. It's about 51 AD, and the church that they're writing to is from a church in Thessalonica. Now, the church is still a baby church. And how do we know that? Well, you know how when there's a toddler and they say, or an infant, they say, oh, my baby's 2 months old. They don't give you the time in years. And then they say, now my baby's 6 months old. And around 18 months, and certainly by 24 months, but nobody in the world says, I have a 38-month or a 47-month-old child here. Eventually, the time period goes from being months to years. My point is that this church is still in the months category. So the things that Paul is praising them for, you got to sort of say, wow, that's really amazing for such a young church. And the thing is, he does kind of do some correction on. It's like, well, of course, they're just an infant little church. It's long enough that they've been around to have some ongoing real persecutions and real afflictions. They also have a little bit of false teaching in their amidst their congregation. So he's going to correct some of that. But basically, the tone of this letter is one of encouragement, and one of gratitude, and one of pride, and just a little bit of correction. So a lot of the same themes from 1 Thessalonians are in the book of 2 Thessalonians. Let me read it for us now. I'm going to read 4 verses. This is from 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 1 through 4. Paul, Silvanus, and Timothy, to the church of Thessalonians, in God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. We ought always to give thanks to God for you, brothers, as is right, because your faith is growing abundantly, and the love of every one of you for one another is increasing. Therefore, we ourselves boast about you in the churches of God for your steadfastness and faith in all your persecutions and in the afflictions that you are enduring. So right away, we start with a tone of thanksgiving. Let's talk about prayer for a second. Prayer is just conversation or a content, thoughts directed towards something, and the something is the someone of God. So it's not just sort of general direction, it's a specific direction. Prayer is verbiage, or thoughts at least, that are directed towards something specifically, and that something is actually the someone of God. And that recognizes that, hey, there's something bigger than me here. This is a theme that he has done already in the book of 1 Thessalonians, which was written a few months before this, where he is giving thanks to God for the Thessalonians. And what I want to emphasize today, or what hit me today, was the regular of this. He again says this today, is that he's always giving thanks. And that was a theme also from chapter 1 as well, when he says he's constantly mentioning you in our prayers and remembering you before God. So the teaching point we had before was lowering the bar. You don't have to pray for anything too complicated. Just do it with some regularity, and that's what he's emphasizing here, is we're lowering the bar, mentioning people before God, but raising the frequency. So think about this as a scale. So 1 is a scale is like, hey, I'm planning on mentioning you, and I haven't really done it yet. I'm thinking about it. Let's call that a scale on the scale of 0. Or I mentioned you 1 time. We're going to give that a number 1. Or I mentioned you twice. We're going to give that a 2 on the scale. Or I mentioned you often, more than a couple of times. And then even if you wanted to go higher than that, scale of constantly. So a scale of 0 through 4. 0 never mentioning you but thinking about it, and 4 being constant. What he's saying is lower the bar for prayer but raise the frequency, go up a little higher there. The prayers include some thanks to God. He thanks, first of all, he thanks them that they're brothers and sisters. It's a unisex word. It's translated here as brothers, but it can mean brothers and sisters. And the things he thanks God for are that their faith is growing. Remember, that's how we determined how something is alive, is that it demonstrates growth. So that's good. Their faith is growing. And another thing that's growing is their love. So he even prayed in chapter 3, verse 12 of 1 Thessalonians. He said, may the Lord make you increase and abound in love for one another. And then he urged them. So he praised for them for that, and then he urged them to love one another more and more. It was a big theme in 1 Thessalonians. And here we find that now he's been gone long enough that there's a report that has come to him that says, number 1, your faith is better, bigger, more, and your love has increased. And therefore he's going to boast to other churches for their steadfastness in faith, and especially during persecutions and affliction. So in conclusion, the fellowship of growing faith is one prayer. The fellowship of growing love is another prayer. And then just encouragement and steadfastness during persecutions. Let's remember to pray to God, lower the bar. All we have to do is remember, people. But let's raise the frequency and go from a 0, which is planning, to maybe once or twice or often or constantly. Thank you for starting with me in the book of Thessalonians. I pray that you would join me every day, 7 minutes a day. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll start with verse 5. Thanks for listening. Listen to the podcast tomorrow too.